Hello everyone, myself Venu. I'm lecturer in mechanical engineering from Government Polytechnic Varangal, and subject dealing is refrigeration and air conditioning. And today's topic, so as regarding the lecture goes on the refrigerants, and as we have observed the last previous video sessions, uh, just we have seen some basic fundamentals and some basic concepts of refrigeration, and we have heard regarding some terminology where different terms we have discussed in those topics, and also we have seen the different methods of refrigerations where the elaborately we have discussed regarding the air refrigeration, VCR system, VAR system. And next, moving on to this third chapter, that elaborately we have to discuss this term, that is nothing but the refrigerants. Okay, so today topic deals on this what is the refrigerants, and just try to focus on what are the uh, elaborately discuss, and we'll get some idea regarding on that uh, what is this term, and what are the requirements, and what are the properties of different refrigerants. Elaborately we will discuss in this today's lecture. So moving on to the objects, so just after this session, so you'll be able to understood, or you'll able to get some information regarding what is a refrigerant. You can able to tell, or you can able to talk regarding the refrigerant, what is refrigerant, and what are the requirements, and uh, what are the properties of the refrigerant. So these are the today's objective, and the this is session objectives. And moving on to the just introduction part, so as in the earlier video class, as we have observed that, mm, in a simple statement we have covered that a refrigerant, I use a number of times the synonym of that is a heat carrying medium, right? A heat carrying medium. And also I have used some terminology like it's a substance, or it is a fluid, or it is a uh, like some heat carrying medium, or it is just like it's a chemical, one type of a chemical, which may be in the form of a vapor, or in some at desired some at some places it may be like a liquid form. Just we have heard these terminology while explaining the different topics like vapor compression system and vapor absorption system, like that. Now here, as discuss it elaborately, so in a statement we can uh, give that it is a heat carrying medium. A refrigerant is a heat carrying medium. It is a substance where uh, it is used to transfer the heat, or used for heat transfer in the refrigeration system. So let us see a statement here. So here you can see it's a substance used for the heat transfer in a refrigeration system. Now here it the it picks up the heat in the sense it may uh, carry the both the heats, like a sensible heat or a latent heat, from the source, which is at a low temperature region, at low temperature or low pressure region. So it is a uh, picking up the heat, or it is absorbing the heat. And also it will gives up the heat. It means it will reject out the heat in the sense you can consider both the heats, latent and sensible heat. I have given a brief discussion regarding what is how you can identify the heats, or how you can talk on these types of heats, like latent heat or sensible heat. I am using these words directly here, right? So here this refrigerant, it will absorbs the heat, or it will picks up the heat from the source at low temperature regions, and similarly it will rejects, or it gives up its heat at a high temperature or high pressure region. So hope you will get some idea the heat absorption which is taking place at lower temperature and pressure means. Just uh, try to recall the vapor compression refrigeration system where we have explained the thermodynamic analysis. In that we have dealt where the absorption is taking place in the evaporator, where that is a nothing but that is a low temperature region. It is a source of the low temperature and low pressure region, right? And similarly the rejection of the heat at high temperatures and pressure, it means just you have to get again recall that where it is happening at what at particular desired place. Nothing but you can take it in a condenser. The refrigerant is rejecting the heat to the surroundings, right? It means at a condenser is placed at high temperature and pressure region side, right? So that is the thing. And now this refrigerant the produces the cooling effect. Ultimate aim or the ultimate or the goal which is you want to finally get from the refrigerant is nothing but the cooling effect. Okay, so this cooling effect may vary depending on the mediums or the whatever the refrigerant we are using. For example, if you take the air will not changes its phase, it will carry only the sensible heat, right? It will carry the only the sensible heat. Whereas if you take the refrigerant which is in the form of vapor form, the vapor refrigerant or some freon groups, like I have used some uh, the notations or chemical names like R11, R12, R22, R134A, like some chemical names, dichloro, difluoromethane or tetrafluoromethane, ethane. So I use these are the chemicals or the refrigerants which are giving out the cooling effect. So mostly the effective the refrigerants which are giving out the more effectiveness, those are the those may mostly present in the vapor form. They will carry both the heats, sensible heat as well as the latent heat, which is more efficient than uh, the air refrigerant. Okay, so I have given the thing also. Why? Because air will carry only the sensible heat. There latent heat in the sense where the phase change is taking place, so lot of energy it may carry out, or a lot of the heat energy it is carrying out. uh, Nothing but the refrigerant is carrying out this the lot of heat energy, it will transferring from one place to the desired place. Okay, so here the most suitable refrigerants are where that particular refrigerant which is absorbing the heat in the form of latent heat, those are most or more suitable and most widely used in the refrigeration systems. Hope you have got some information regarding the refrigerant. In a simple terminology you can uh, give as a statement, it is a heat carrying medium or it is a substance used for heat transfer in the refrigeration system. Okay, so which is the more efficient one in the sense the vapor refrigerant which is carrying both the heats, sensible and latent heats. So the points you have to please try to remember. As earlier discussed, where the refrigerant changes its state from liquid to vapor form, as we have seen in the VCR system, the refrigerant heat carrying medium where it is changing its state from liquid to vapor form, it is a vaporization process which is happening in the evaporator. So during this process it is absorbing the heat uh, from the source, or at the low temperature region it is absorbing the heat that is in the evaporator. So this process is the evaporation process. And in the similar case the condensation is also happening. It means the phase changing from the vapor form of refrigerant to the liquid form of refrigerant, where it is condensing or form changing to liquid state by rejecting the heat to the surroundings. This will happens in the condenser, as we have seen in the VCR system. And just we will limit this introduction part up to here, as we have seen introduction in the basic and fundamentals of refrigeration, and moving to the uh, elaborate discussions of the refrigerants, right? So one point to give, as in olden days, here the natural ice, or the combination of the salt and ice, as I have mentioned one term, that is a brine solution. We will discuss that elaborately, is a combination of the salt and ice. So these are the first the refrigerants used in the ancient days, uh, for food preservation, or different techniques they have used, but primarily the technique, whatever the to get the cooling effect, the refrigerant used or is natural ice, and the combination of the salt and ice. Okay, now moving on to the requirements here, and also moving into the properties of the refrigerant. So these two terminology is different. Requirements of the refrigerants are different, and properties of the refrigerants are the different. Properties in the sense, uh, it will it will decide the characterization. It means what are the characteristics of that particular uh, that that fluid it has. What are the characteristics? Just it defines that what is the properties of that particular refrigerant. Whereas the requirements means here, uh, which uh, which properties, or should it contains by that particular refrigerant. So whatever the refrigerant we are using, uh, what are the must contained properties? It means, uh, if you are choosing a refrigerant, so must and should, it will meet that particular requirements. We need it only suitable for particular applications only. For example, you take a refrigerator, it is application, and you take a water cooler, it is application, and you take air conditioner. So these requires different refrigerants, right? Different refrigerants, and they use as the different refrigerants. For example, if you take air conditioner, it uses R22, whereas if you take domestic refrigerators, it may use R12 or R134A. So here these refrigerants, depending on their applications, it contains the different requirements. Okay, so right, hope you have got understood. So these requirements must and should be contained by the refrigerant, right? Now moving on to the, as all earlier explained, it means properties in the sense, the characterization of that particular refrigerant. It is specifying that, okay, actual what are the content, what are the character of that particular refrigerant, it will decide. Nothing but that is a property. So we will see first of all what are the requirements of that particular refrigerant. So I will list out here. So whatever the requirements I'm listing out here, you try to remember that. So these can be explained in the next moving topic. We can see here the first and foremost requirement is the boiling point and freezing points. So both the things, the freezing point of a refrigerant and boiling point of a refrigerant, both should be low. We will discuss it elaborately. Just we'll see the list out of the requirements. Next, high critical temperature and pressure. Okay, the we will discuss it. And next, latent heat of latent heat of vaporization. Next requirement is low specific heat and specific volume. Both should be low. Specific heat and specific volumes, both should be low. What is the reasons of all these requirements? We will discuss it elaborately. Next one is the refrigerant should be non-corrosive to the metals. So whatever the copper piping we are using in the refrigerators, or in some other what in some other applications, the here it should be non-corrosive. It means it should not react with the metal or whatever the copper pipe you are using, it should not be reactive to that. And it should have low ozone depletion potential, right? Refrigerant should be, it should not affect the ozone layer. It should have low ozone depletion first of all, right? That is also requirement. And it should not react with the lubricating oil, as we can see here. Now you are getting hermetically sealed compressors. So it is a completely sealed compressors you are getting, where it is a combination of all the electrical components, mechanical components like piston, connecting rod, all the mechanical components, the shaft. So all they present in a one housing, and the lubricating oil is also placed at the bottom. So whenever the refrigerant, at some other times, if anything is happened in that particular casing or in the particular that closed compressor, it should not react with that lubricating oil. That is also one requirement of a refrigerant. And similarly, it should be non-flammable, non-explosive, safe and non-toxic. All these are the some chemical characterization. It means the chemical properties it requires. And it should be low cost and easily available. And it should condense at moderate pressure. Condensation should happen at moderate pressures and temperatures, right? If more the operating pressures are more, so whatever the performance of the system should be, it will be less. So must and should it operates at moderate pressures. And the refrigerant, whatever the refrigerant you are using, whenever some leakages happen, it should be identified easily, or it should be detected very easily by in the name of like order or some indicator like that. And similarly, uh, compulsorily it should operate on above atmospheric pressures only. Whatever the condensing pressures or evaporator pressures are there, must and should it here should operate above atmospheric pressures. And following all these requirements, the refrigerant must and should give high COP in the sense, already we have seen the basic concepts, that is the coefficient of performance, it should be high. Okay, and now these are the requirements what we have seen. And next moving to the desired properties of a ideal refrigerant. So you can see here, this ideal refrigerant, it should not exist. Why? Because no one refrigerant. So you take any of the refrigerant, uh, they are not ideal refrigerant. Why? Because ideal in the sense, whatever for example, whatever the requirements we have seen, or whatever the properties are there, whatever they were listed out, all this should present in a single substance or a single refrigerant, that it is impossible in case. Okay, right. uh, but here, considering more it means maximum requirement, consider it will depends on different applications, right? Applications, it depends on applications. It requires only the requirements are only few properties only. Then you can consider here the refrigerant whatever we have chosen, it should give good coefficient of performance, good COP, and safe to use while operating between the normal, the medium pressures or optimum pressures. Okay, so here uh, the properties are categorized into in different in three different cases here. One is the thermodynamic properties of a refrigerant, and the physical properties of a refrigerant, and third case is the chemical properties of a refrigerant. So we'll list out one by one under these subcategories of the properties. The thermodynamic properties, first moving into this, the first what we have seen in the requirements, that we are elaborately discussing here, nothing but these are the properties only. The low boiling and low freezing points, why they should be low. For example, uh, to take, first I want to explain regarding this the freezing point. As we have seen in the VCR system, for example, if you take in the, as you know that the freezing low temperatures are created in the evaporator, right? For example, low temperatures are creating in the sense some temperature attained in the evaporator is like minus 10 degrees centigrade, like that. If that refrigerant is providing minus 10 degrees centigrade, means what is the freezing point of that particular refrigerant? So we have to know, or we have to get some idea regarding that freezing point of a particular refrigerant, whatever you are using in a different application. Okay, so freezing point should be as much as low than the uh, evaporator temperature, right? As a evaporator temperature, for example, minus 10 degrees centigrade, the freezing point of a particular refrigerant should be as much as low than that minus 10 degrees centigrade. I am taking as example minus 10 degrees centigrade. Like, it should, the freezing point may be minus 20 or minus 30 degrees centigrade. So that type of refrigerant should be chosen. Hope you have understood. What happens if the refrigerant has a minus 10 degrees centigrade, and if the same temperature is attained in the evaporator also minus 10 degrees centigrade, what happens? So in the evaporator coils, the refrigerant which is flowing, that it will get freezed, so it will completely chokes, or it will completely blocks the pipeline, whatever the piping system is there, or the walls are there, the walls will get choked away. So that is happening. So must and should, the refrigerant should contain low freezing point. In a similar manner, the boiling temperature at a atmospheric pressure, so it should contain, it should contain very low boiling temperatures. Okay, and what happens if it has low boiling temperature, for example, if it has a high boiling temperature, the compressor should operate at high vacuums. Hope you understood. If it has high boiling temperature, the compressors which are working there, it should operates, or it should works at high vacuum conditions. It will create some risky in nature, and the cost of the equipment will also increases. That operating conditions will also, it will be critical. So here, if the refrigerant is having low boiling temperature, then it increases the capacity of the plant, right? Hope you understood. It increases the capacity of the plant. And similarly, so hope you have got that. Must and should, both the properties, these thermodynamic properties, boiling point and freezing point, both should be low. If have high boiling temperature of a refrigerant, what happens? The compressor should operate at a high vacuum conditions. It is very critical case. But so that is the reason it should operate at low boiling, refrigerant should have low boiling temperature. Obvious, simultaneously what happens, it increases the capacity of the plant. Similarly, low freezing point also, as I already explained that, right? Next, moving into the next, here the thermodynamic properties. Next one, the evaporative and the condenser pressure. As I already told that it should be positive. You can see this statement, why it should be positive. What happens here, uh, must and should, the refrigerant which is charged into the system, it is the charged refrigerant, it is above the atmospheric pressure only, and the pressure which is inbuilt whenever it is under running condition, evaporator pressure and condenser pressure, both are different cases, having more the pressure in the condenser and low pressures in the evaporators. But the condition is both the pressures should have, or should the pressure which are operating in that different cases or at different places must and should operate at above atmospheric pressures only. If you are not operating, if they are operating below the atmosphere, it means that vacuum conditions, what happen, it will have, there is a chance of air leakage into the system at um, any weaker section or at any weaker points. There is a chance of sucking the air, there is air leakage into the system, so completely it will get, if the air leakage will happens into the piping section, it will completely chokes away all the walls or the piping system. It may damage the complete the system, right? And there is a chance of escaping the gas, the refrigerant, nothing but the vapor refrigerant. It will uh, the leakage happens and completely it will the working of a system will stops. Okay, so must and should, it should be positive. It means both the pressures should operate at above the atmospheric pressures only. Next, moving to the latent heat of vaporization, I used this word in the VCR system explanation, where you can see the during vaporization where it happens in the evaporator, it should be large or it should be high. The latent heat of vaporization should be high, means the vaporization should take place with the uh, more the evaporation has to be taken place. Why? Because uh, see, the more the vaporization is taking place here, the quantity of refrigerant whatever just if it is large, it means latent heat of vaporization is large, it minimizes the quantity of refrigerant used. It means whatever the quantity of refrigerant entering into the evaporator part, that entered refrigerant, it has to change its phase. It means it has to get completely vaporized, right? Completely vaporized in the sense the latent heat absorbed. It means whatever the heat exchange process taking place between the products and the heat which is present, or the heat which is present in the refrigerant, it should take place very high. It means evaporation has to be take place very high, then only it can minimize the quantity of refrigerant used. If more the load is there, what happens, the more the quantity of refrigerant has to be pumped into the evaporator part. So this is the point you have to remember. The next point is the critical temperature and pressure. As we have seen, this is also one property. As we have seen uh, the TS chart, temperature entropy diagram of TS diagram of a VCR system, where you can see the 1 to 2 process here, and 2 to 3. 1 to 2 is representing it's a isentropic compression, and 2 to 3 process. During this process, you can see the point 2 is reaching at a superheated temperature and pressure, which is above the condenser temperature. We can see in the TS chart, which is above uh, the condenser temperature. So whatever the temperature recorded, that means at which above which vapor cannot be condensed. It means at that the temperature which is reached above the condenser temperature, so at that particular temperature the vapor cannot be get condensed. That temperature can be taken as the critical temperature. So at all the times you can observe that the critical temperature of a refrigerant should be well above the condensing temperature. From the superheated temperature, if it reaches to the condensing point, then it will starts the condensation will starts, where it converts from vapor refrigerant to the liquid refrigerant. But if the more the critical temperature, where it ultimately it results in the excessive power consumption. It means 1 to 2 process, it gives the recording of the the compressor work. It means more the power consumption, where if it has higher critical temperature point. And coming to the pressure, critical pressure should be low, right? So it should be low so as to have the low condensing pressures, right? Then it will just begins to condense, then it will complete its condensation process. So critical pressure should be low. And here next, moving to the specific volume of refrigerants. As you know that how much the volume per kg of a refrigerant, how much amount of volume it is carrying out if you are taking per kg of a refrigerant, right? So here, the as I already told, it should carry low specific volumes. So what happens, what it results, it reduces the size of the compressor. If you using if it the refrigerant is having low specific volumes, low carrying capacity of low volume carrying capacity of that refrigerant per kg of refrigerant, if it is low, it reduces the size of the compressor. And here the reciprocating compressors, whatever the low specific volume refrigerants are there, these are particularly used in the reciprocating compressors. Okay. And whereas if you want to pump the high specific volume, mostly these are used by the centrifugal compressors. The high specific volume refrigerants are there, where the volume occupied per kg of refrigerant is more. For the particular thing, the compressors used are the centrifugal compressors. Okay. And here next, moving to the next property, that is a specific heat. Here, as earlier seen in the requirements, that specific heat should be of a liquid refrigerant, and high specific heat of vapor are desirable because they tend to increase the refrigerating effect per kg of refrigerant. As you observe the thing here, liquid refrigerant is carrying from after condensation, it will move to the expansion valve, then to the evaporator. So you can see the liquid line. Okay. In this case, it should carry the low specific heat, whereas if you take the vapor refrigerant, you can see after evaporator component, after vaporization, you can see the suction line where it carries the vapor and it enters into the compressor, then next to the condenser where it is a vapor line. It should carries the high specific heat. What the meaning? It means the increase in the temperature for 1 unit increase for that particular mass, it should be low in the liquid refrigerant. Why? Because the liquid refrigerant, after changing of its phase to liquid refrigerant, it entering into the expansion devices where it has a very low temperatures are there. So our requirement is low temperatures in the evaporator. During that case, must and should it carry the low specific heat only. Hope you understood. Whereas in the after forming into the vapor, in the compressor, it has to increase the pressures and temperatures, and high specific heat. For example, the increase in the unit temperature, 1 unit temperature of a for a given mass of a refrigerant, it should be high. It should be more in the vapor. Why? Because the compressor work can be reduced, right? So high specific heat of vapor is required and low specific heat of liquid refrigerant is required here. Okay. So obviously, if these things are followed, what happens? The result is it increases the refrigerating effect per kg of the refrigerant. So cooling effect, it can be increased per kg of the refrigerant, right? So this is the thing. And next, moving to the thermal conductivity. Obviously, it should be high thermal conductivity should be there. So for easy heat absorption and for easy heat rejection at a different places, or at a different desired places, or in the in the condenser heat rejection has to be taken place, right? And similar way in the evaporator heat absorption has to be taken place. So thermal conductivity should be high, and obviously what happens, it reduces the flow rate of the refrigerant for a given capacity. It is also one advantage, it reduces the flow rate. As we know that I already discussed this, what is the flow rate? Rate in the sense taking the reference of the time. So per second, what is the flow of a refrigerant? If more the thermal conductivity, the flow rate should be decreases for a given capacity of that plant. Okay, and obviously the COP should be high. Nothing but the performance of that particular refrigerator should be high to reduce the running cost of the equipment. If it performs well, running cost will be reduces. Okay, it will be achieved very easily, and our required object is achieved very easily. And obviously what happens, the running cost of that particular system will be, refrigeration system will be also good. So these are the few thermodynamic properties, and moving to the physical properties, there are three different terminology we can explain in this, or properties try to explain in this. The one is the viscosity. As you know, must and should it carry low viscosity. What happens if it has high viscosity? The flow nature is less. If it has high viscosity, the flow nature on the surface or within that pipeline is less. If it has low viscosity, the transfer rate is good, and it means the flow capacity is good. Flow capacity good in the sense it will carries the heat transfer. The refrigerant will transfers the heat very easily, and uh, the pumping power will also reduces. If you use any pumps, smaller pumps are used in that, or the compressor work, which will happens very easily. The compressor is responsible to pump the uh, whatever the refrigerant into the different components. So low pumping power, it should be obtained if the viscosity of that particular refrigerant is low. Okay, next one, the leakage tendency. It should be uh, it should be low every time. It says one safety property, safety. It should, if leakage tendency is less, what happens, can the loss of the refrigerant can be reduced. Similarly, the dielectric strength, nothing but dielectric strength in the sense the insulation capacity of that particular refrigerant should be uh, it should be better. It should be better. It means high dielectric strength. It means a high effective insulation can be uh, it should be obtained. It should be uh, have to get from the refrigerant. More insulation should be there when there is a leakage of electricity is happened. For as earlier told, in hermetically sealed compressors, it is completely sealed. Whenever something happens in that, that refrigerant should not react with that electric whatever the electrical components are there. That refrigerant should act like a insulation capacity. It should have effective insulation. It means it should have, must and should have, it have high dielectric strengths. So these are the few physical properties of a refrigerant. Similarly, I'll list out the chemical properties. As these are terminology. Refrigerant should be non-flammable and non-explosive. They should not be burst out whenever they expose you to some surrounding temperatures and pressures. And they should be non-poisonous, non-toxic, and no effect on foodstuffs. As I'm not explaining it elaborately, as you know this terminology, right? And should not have a disagreeable odor. Odor in the sense a bad smell will result in the some uh, a disturbance nature, or the food may get uh, it may spoiled very easily, right? Or the odor, it will result in a disturbance manner. So the order should be it should be very much less. And other thing also, it should not have any corrosion action on the parts of the system. So this is also one chemical property, as we have seen. It should not get not rust formation, corrosion. It should not react chemically, it should not react with the like copper pipe or whatever the material we are using for the piping, the refrigerant which is flowing inside that, it should not react with that. Okay, right. So hope you got some information regarding, and in this video session, like some introduction part of refrigerant, you understood that how explain the what is the refrigerant and how you can give in a statement wise. And similarly, requirements we have seen, and similarly we have seen the different properties, the desirable properties of an ideal refrigerant, right? This should contain properly, will gives the good results and good cooling effect by the particular refrigerant. So different properties like thermodynamic, physical properties and chemical properties of the refrigerant, right? So hope you have understood this video session. And we have few you can see this is what is the answer for this, a small quiz. A specific heat of a liquid refrigerant should be, so I have given both the conditions. Specific heat of a liquid I have explained, and specific heat of vapor, where in the liquid line it is carrying very low temperatures. So the heat means the addition of heat, it should be less, it should be low in the liquid refrigerant, right? Why? Because liquid refrigerant is entering into the evaporator part. Evaporator low, what we have to get low temperatures. So low temperatures, so it should, liquid refrigerant should carry should have the low specific heats. So hope that is the answer. Whereas specific heat of vapors, it should be high. So increase in the unit temperature of the particular refrigerant should be high for vapors, specific heat. So the answers for this is low. Specific heat of liquid refrigerant should be low, right? And similarly, COP of a refrigerant, obviously you know that is, it should be high, right? So these are the few things, and some we can have the questions here. Generally they will ask what are the, can list out the what are the requirements of an ideal refrigerant, or what we have listed out all the properties which what are there, that will fall under the requirements of a refrigerant. And similarly you can explain the different properties of the refrigerants. They will elaborately, they will ask for primary regarding the refrigerant, different under thermodynamic properties, under physical properties, under chemical properties. They may uh, ask to explain a few properties regarding under these subcategories. Okay, so this is regarding this video session. So hope you understood, and we'll meet in the next continuation of these refrigerants, classification of refrigerants, and uh, the most used refrigerants. We will see for that most used refrigerant what are the different properties of that. And continuation, we will have a few more topics under these refrigerants. And in the next video session, it is very important, where we will see common used refrigerants, and it also useful for your syllabus point of view also. Hope, right? So thank you, we'll meet in the next video session.